Fire Prince Silly with another Transgirl CNC, where we talk about comics, cartoons, and other awesome nerd shit. Well, last week I said I didn't know what we'd be talking about, but I was still super excited because I knew that I would figure it out. And I did, because obviously we're making a video. I'll always try to have a video, but I definitely prefer to have a topic when I do make a video. But we'll get to that. For now, let's take a look at our segment called Things You Might Have Missed. This is, of course, comics, shows, cartoons, anything that I think may have just flown under your radar for whatever reason. Either you didn't think it was something you'd like, you didn't think that it looked pretty good, you don't want to take a chance. I personally didn't suggest it to you. If you follow my suggestions, I think I suggest some great stuff. Anyway, the point is, you didn't get it. But I still think you might like it. So let's turn right to that. And for this week, it's Scales and Scoundrels, a fantasy book by Image. Fantasy, of course, it's got dragons. It's set in a medieval fantasy type world with a cast of medieval fantasy type characters. The difference, I think, between this comic and other fantasy comics is the main character herself, Lavender. That's like lavender but with a U instead of an A. Interesting name. Is kind of a scoundrel who goes around trying to find her fortune because all she wants is to get rich, big pile of gold, so that she can have the easy life. Of course, she gets into trouble along the way. This particular comic opens up with her playing a game of cards that has some kind of weird rules. It reminds me of like collecting tradable card game type cards. Anyway, point is, she's playing a card game, she wins, she's like, I'm going to take my money. They accuse her of cheating, and things go south from there. Other interesting thing about her could be that she might be a dragon. It's hinted at, but not exactly confirmed, so who knows what that means. But I think that's interesting, focusing on the dragon, if she's a dragon, trying to interact with human life to find and seek her fortune. We don't get a lot of other characters in the first book. There are two comics of this out. There are 2 issues of this out. I only have the first one. We don't get a lot of other characters from her, but we do meet another group of characters towards the end, whose names I couldn't tell you because they didn't really get into them too terribly much. And I think that they'll have more of a presence in the following issue. Like I said, I haven't read that one yet. But for what we got so far, it's pretty good. The art style is simplistic, yet defined. It's got some rougher edges, it's a little stylized, and I kind of like it. So, once again, that was Scales and Scoundrels by Image Comics. Check it out if you're not boycotting Image. If you are, I understand. But, check it out when you're done. But that brings us to our main focus this week. You might be able to guess it because of the shirt I'm wearing. Of course, I've worn this shirt in other videos, so it could possibly mean absolutely nothing at all, but this week it does, because we are talking about the unbelievable Gwenpool. This is particularly issue 20. We're not focusing on issue 21, but this is the latest issue 21, start of the story Doom Sees You. And it's interesting where this is going. I'm not sure what's going to happen. We'll see. But let's talk about Gwenpool, because this is a character that I particularly really enjoy. And how we even got to Gwenpool. Because she was just like a afterthought of a gag, more or less. And now she has her own series, and it's amazing. So, how did we get Gwenpool? Well, there was a story series 2 years ago called Spider-Verse. Started out with the Edge of Spider-Verse, and issue number 2 featured a character called It introduced the Spider-Woman of Earth 65, Gwen Stacy. One day we're going to talk about Spider-Gwen too, because I think her universe is incredible. I really like her series. But that's a different story for another time. So yes, we got the character who we call Spider-Gwen. Spider-Gwen is really cool, and everybody really, I mean, lots of people really like her. I'm not going to say everybody, because you can't please all the people all the time. But so many people liked her that Marvel decided they were going to do a bunch of different comic book covers featuring Gwen Stacy as different characters. Like, she had a She-Hulk cover, I believe. She had a bunch of different covers. All different different Gwens. And one of those was a Deadpool cover featuring Gwenpool. Now, I don't know if you know anything about Deadpool comics. It's kind of hard not to know anything about Deadpool comics. There used to be a statistic that a person could read 3 Deadpool comics and then be hit by a car because of the absolute just the rate that Deadpool comics are produced, is that they're producing them at 3 times the speed as people getting hit by cars, and that was an insane number. It's probably not even a real number. That math was probably all off, but it gives you an idea of how popular the character Deadpool is, and people were like, oh, this is such a cool concept. A Deadpool that is a Gwen Stacy. Now, that was the start of the idea. The final product is actually very, very different. Now, they tested her out in Howard the Duck, of all places, to see if people would like her, see if she would stick, and surprisingly, she had such a good, reaction that they were like, fine, we can turn this into its own series. And she got a holiday special just to test the waters again, and then finally her own series. Now, it's important to notice, like I said, that the final product is different than the original idea. The original idea was a Gwen Stacy who is a Deadpool. However, she's not even Gwen Stacy. Her name is Gwendolyn Poole. Yep. She comes from our world, more or less, the world where, comic books are just comic books, is not an everyday occurrence. And through some means, like a science project portal kind of thingy, like, we're not really ever given the direct answer for how she got to the Marvel Universe. It's always kind of played off. But she interdimensional travels to the Marvel Universe, and she realizes 2 things very, very quickly when she realizes where she is. 1, if you're not wearing a mask, and you don't have a cape, or any of those things, you're an extra. 2, if you're an extra, you are replaceable. You're liable to get squished. And she decided she didn't want to be an extra, so she went to a place that makes costumes for superheroes. Like, apparently this woman, Ronnie, has also made costumes for Spider-Man and a whole bunch of other people. And so she has Gwen fill out a request form for a costume, and she signs in her name, Gwenpool. And Ronnie, whose her first language isn't English, decides, oh, she's some kind of Deadpool fangirl, and that's the motif she wants, not realizing that's her actual name. And that's how we got Gwenpool. So what are the powers of Gwenpool? She knows she's in a comic book. That's it. Those are her powers. She knows she's in a comic book, and she can kind of see the comic threads where they're going, what they're, trying to, the story where it's trying to get to, and she can kind of move from point A to point B using that logic. It's not like magic or anything, it's just guessing. It's guesswork based on plot threads. And it gets her into trouble. All the time. So much trouble, in fact, that she takes on a mission because she decided, well, I gotta pay my rent somehow. I don't have a social security card in this world because I'm from a different world. The best thing I can possibly do is to be a mercenary. Total sense. I mean, I've already got the outfit. It's white and pink. It's I love her outfit, even if it doesn't have pants. I love those boots. Not the point. Point is, she takes on a job. Apparently, the costume shop lady also runs a Merc kind of web look, she's getting her costume from the same place that she's getting her jobs, and that in itself is never particularly explained, but doesn't need to be. I still like it. She takes a job that she shouldn't take. It's way out of her league. Somebody is actually completed it before she does, and she kills that guy instead and steals the credit, because why wouldn't she? It's a really big paying job. And so this catches the attention of MODOK. MODOK 2? I don't know. He was a weird guy, because his whole deal was, we're going to be mercenaries for good. I don't know. She gets roped into working for him because she realizes that even if she can see the plot threads and, figure out where things are going to go, her life is still in danger, and she doesn't know how to fight a MODOK. Her teammates are... Oh man, I am getting just too winded here. Anyway, her teammates are Megatoni, he's just a dude who makes stuff, Backtrock the Leper, and Terrible Eye. Her name's Sarah, she's Gwen's best friend. It's great. And they have all these adventures. She eventually becomes head of the organization. Things go south from there. And what I really like is that she's just this comic nerd who got thrown into the right universe that she can exploit. And that's what I really enjoy about the character itself. Herself is because what would you do in that situation if you suddenly woke up and you were in a comic book universe? You'd probably try to find a way to make it work for yourself. And this is how she made it work for herself. She super comic nerd, and she just uses all that information to her advantage. She even runs into Thor, and she calls out Jane's name and puts a stop to the fight that her team was losing. I mean, it's great. But she is... If you've never read it and you didn't know, you'd probably think that she's just Gwen Stacy who is Deadpool, and I'm here to tell you that is not her character. Her character is herself. She is just her. And she's just trying to do the best she can with what she's got, with no powers, and just money from mercenary missions and weapons, and a little training from Backtrock the Leper. And her interactions with all the other characters in the Marvel Universe are some of the funniest, most interesting interactions ever. She meets Hawkeye and Ghost Rider, Kate Bishop, just for clarification. And she teams up with both of them. It's so good. It's so good. I love it. I love it so much. But she's trying to find her way, and I think I really enjoy a kind of weird coming-of-age story, if I'm being honest, and that's kind of what this is. Recently, she did get some superpowers, I'm not going to tell you what they are, but with this latest issue, it's kind of interesting how she's doing it, because after she got them, she kind of made a vow not to become evil, but the way she's using her powers could arguably be evil. So, how is she going to grow into those powers? How is she going to stop herself from becoming evil? She's already starting these kind of weird acts of sort of evilness. It's totally debatable if the way she's doing it is evil or not. And that's not something that we have time to debate today. So, I highly suggest that you check out The Unbelievable Gwenpool any way you can. Either read it online, get the trade paperbacks, subscribe to it, because the story is good. The character's a load of fun. She's just tons of fun to follow, and the art's pretty good. The art is actually done by the same person who did the Avatar: The Last Airbender comics, so if you really enjoyed that art style, it's right up your alley. And that is totally it for us this week. Join us next week when we'll talk about something else. Once again, I don't have a plan yet, but as always, I will figure it out. So until next time, enjoy comics, enjoy cartoons, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.